So what if in the random version of URF you could select the role you wanted to play and then get a random champion within that role, or at least two roles, kind of like how draft mode works, where you might select, let's say, mid and top, and you'd get a random champion that was classified as a mid or top laner. Because for some people, the joy of URF was getting to select a certain champion they wanted to play, whether you were a content creator and you had this crazy idea that you wanted to be able to try and make a video about, or just a casual player even. Maybe you just wanted to spam your champion with different builds because you have the cooldowns. Whatever the case was, you can't really do that right now. The joy now is that, hey, I'm playing Tryndamere and getting my butt kicked by AP Alistar. But at least I'm not playing Tryndamere and getting my butt kicked by an OP thing like Zed, even though I know how to play Tryndamere. So overall, it's still a miserable experience if I'm honest, but hey, those OP champions are gone. So just make sure when we go over this video, you stick around later, and in the comment section, give your ideas about what do you actually like though about random URF in general. When they make new iterations of it in the future, what would you hope that they keep, and stuff like that as we go over this video. Because when it comes to random URF, there apparently was a vote that said players in general and people liked the random version of URF better than old URF, and as we all know, voting worked out very well, right, America? But rather than just find the negatives, because that's mainly what like say Reddit does, but in Reddit's defense, it's actually pretty chill and okay compared to the boards. Mr. I represent the entire community, when I've never heard of you, so nor do you not represent me. You know, unless you represent me like how my local representatives do, and we saw how that worked out, rest in peace net neutrality. But let's instead try and find the positives, so that way when Riot sees feedback that we give them, they can be like, oh, this is actually something they do like, and this is something we can use going forward. Because it's very easy to just say why we dislike something, but let's look at why we actually do like the things that they've done. If random version of URF is what is more popular, what people voted for it being better, then what about it is in fact better, so Riot can maybe find that blend between old people that like the older versions of URF, and then the newer people that might like the newer version of URF, and then combine that into like a perfect mode for all of us. And I'll start by actually mentioning Nexus Siege, that mode that you forgot even existed until I just now mentioned it. Now sure, maybe it's not one of the most popular modes, and maybe it's a mode that you think maybe is new, maybe I'm leaking something, you have no idea what this mode is, but it actually is a thing that exists. And why I'm honestly, seriously bringing it up is because even though that mode might not be one of the most popular modes they've ever made, I think champion-wise, they found that perfect blend of, hey, you can play an AD carry, and you might get absolutely obliterated by the enemy team, what they pick, divers, assassins, whatever, but at the same time, as an AD carry, you can be one of the strongest things in the game, because you're really great at sieging overall anyway, and it's a time attack more so than you die a bunch of times and like that's it. So in other words, you can even feed in this mode as whatever and still maybe be useful as long as you get to the Nexus or defend your Nexus longer than it took the enemy to do so. So let's start also by talking about Assassins. Assassins is one of the things that probably is a pain point for URF, because when you look at some of those OP picks in the past, those things like Fizz and Zed, Katarina even, you know, and Assassins, they're probably one of the best classes in League of Legends when it comes to teaching you stuff, right? Assassins are the teachers of League. They teach you things like what the color gray looks like when you're gray screening all the time, what rage quitting is, that you'll never actually be as fast as you hoped you were when you look at the death recap and it says you died in 0.00 seconds. They also teach you how to do your best Michael Jackson impression, you know, because he's gone, and you'll be gone too playing against a lot of these blinks and damage. But everything pretty much, not just Assassins, if you really think about it, a lot of things can really just be overpowered in this mode, but in a good way, because if everything's overpowered, nothing's overpowered. Except Yasuo. Yasuo is got nerfed when you play this mode. That's what Yasuo got out of this deal. He actually got nothing. It's actually kind of unfortunate for that, you know, champion. But going forwards, you can't maybe just ban certain champions, right? You can't like bring back old URF and then disable certain champions, because some of those mains will get left out and that kind of defeats the purpose. And I know some people will like to act like, well, this game would be a lot better if certain mains and certain champions didn't exist, as if your roses don't stank passive-aggressive Sona players. But look, on a serious note, it's one of the problems with Snowdown Battle URF, is that, hey, it's kind of cool and all, but there's certain champions that don't have a Snowdown skin, I can't play with them, it's not fun, what's the point? And the point is, that's where we're finally getting to the feedback part, where I kind of like, you know, hey, what was the point of watching this video if we're not going to actually discuss feedback, actual feedback that can be used? I just baited you with a title and a thumbnail with red arrows and emojis that are irrelevant to this topic whatsoever, or of course in the thumbnail I just used a questionably dressed anime version of a champion, it's probably Rek'Sai. But which case, okay, so then what about the serious point of this video? What about actual feedback? Well, first and foremost, you have to give some feedback. You have to comment and whatever and be able to tell Riot in a positive and constructive way what you liked about this mode so they continue using it going forward. In a previous video, for my feedback, what I've mentioned is I did like the idea that if they're going to release URF around a certain event or certain time of year, they also then auto-unlock like the skin that's for that theme. So if they did URF again in half a year for like pool party, they could be like, oh hey, and then every champion that has a pool party skin, you get that for free. But also then maybe in the future just make all champions available anyway, and that's just an added perk. If a champion that you get also has a pool party skin, you can play as a pool party champion version of that skin. So in other words, with Snowdown Battle URF, part of the problem is some champions you can't play as. It's the same as banning that champion. I really enjoy URF playing, let's say Zed for example. Zed doesn't have a Snowdown skin, I can't play Zed ever, no matter who I get in this mode. And so if you do it the other way, what I'm saying pretty much is, pool party, let's say, you know, you get Jinx, who doesn't have a pool party skin at the moment. You can still play Jinx though in this version of URF, you just can only would play the pool party version of a champion if they have the skin. That way every champion is still available, and that way you can still continue that idea, which I thought was pretty cool, because like I mentioned in a previous video that I made about this, well hey, I didn't know about this skin, or I didn't really, you know, get a chance to play the skin ever, look at the skin really good, and now that I have, I actually kind of want the skin. And it's that time of year where legacy stuff is available, so I can just go buy it. Riot makes money off of this decision. Ergo, it's a business, it should, you know, yada yada yada. Now, going forwards, another thing is the very first point I brought up. I think what you kind of have to do maybe to satisfy people is you bring the random aspects still intact by making every champion available in the class available when they select for a role and queue up. But that way a person could be like, maybe I didn't get the champ specifically I wanted, but I did get the role specifically that I queued up for. So if I'm a mid lane player, which is like mages and assassins, let's say, I'm going to get a mage and assassin of some point, and obviously the entire champion pool would have to be unlocked to avoid being able to play against, you know, those ARAM only accounts that can possibly come up. I've been talking for too long, so now my mouth is getting dry and I'm going to mess up words. I apologize. But anyway, maybe that's the way you prevent, you know, what was considered ARAM only accounts when ARAM was just, you know, on ARAM the random mode, is that every champion would still be available in that specific role that you're queuing up for. So if you queued up for AD carry or marksman, whatever, you would still, you know, possibly get one of all like 20 or so that's classified as a marksman champions right now. If you queued up for mid lane, you get all possible mages and assassins. You queued up for top lane, tanks, fighters, junglers, you know, divers, etc. It might be some gray areas, so maybe the final point that I'm going to make is maybe URF has to be redesigned a little bit, so that way it's like, oh hey, you know what? That won't really work with the live iteration, so maybe we just go back to the drawing board and rebuild URF from the ground up. Obviously we keep what makes URF URF, but like we've done with some newer modes, like, you know, Hunt of the Blood Moon and stuff like that, when they've come up with new stuff, maybe the trick then is to then go, hey, we kind of need to look at what we've learned from making these new modes that people have found fun, and then rebuild URF with some of those things in mind. Another point that I brought up in the previous video was Ascension. The Xerath change, I didn't think was that great, because you drop the relic, a team would just kind of wait around for one team to kind of get themselves almost defeated by Xerath, and then come in and steal it because it's just a relic on the ground instead of who actually defeated Xerath. But one of the things they did more recently was they made it so you can recall, you won't get your life back and stuff like that, but you don't have to necessarily die to be able to buy items. And then like things like spawn camping, which was a big problem in Ascension, kind of was solved a little bit with the idea that, oh hey, well now if I'm TPing somewhere or I'm getting collapsed on, maybe I'll have the chance to recall and get out before I actually get absolutely obliterated. So there are definitely things that Riot does. They are listening, I guess is what I'm saying. There are things that they're trying to do and work with the community. So then it's our job to give constructive feedback, so in the future they can be like, hey, this is what they do like, this is what they don't like, maybe we can keep working from here. And I don't expect the next iteration of random version of URF to be perfect either. Mind you, it probably won't be, because it depends how well of feedback we do or don't give. But I'm going to end the video here because I've given some ideas, but I want to really hear your guys' ideas on what I've said and just what do you guys like about URF. And then maybe I can send this to Riot somehow. They can see it and it can kind of be like a community feedback video. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video this far if you did. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe and share this video if you so desire. But I don't know which video will be next because life be quite a mess. So until next time, take care from the Fire Godai FS, and thank you so much for watching.